year and a half ago, found myself, like many of us on this spiritual awakening path, or whatever version of an awakening you may experience, many of us over the last few years have had a lot of things ripped away. A lot of things ripped away. A lot of things ripped away, and for a steady while.
Tell us who and exactly what's
the sun forsake me and the moon forgave me.
Hi everyone, my name is Emiliana Molina. Welcome to The Awakened Journalist. It is an honor and privilege to have my dear friend sitting right next to me today, Ala Hayhurst. She's a musician, a beautiful human being, and just a great friend. And we've been going through a beautiful transformation within our friendship for the last year since the first time that we met each other, right? So we're gonna get into a little bit about what Ala does, her work. She also works a lot with plant medicine, song circles, and ancestral lineages to support people in their healing processes and their transformations. And part of her work is truly delivering, all the love and all the service that she can with the utmost respect, so that people can truly feel like they're in a safe container when it's time to face very difficult situations or difficult life challenges. And as I mentioned, she does this through multiple services, one of them being the song circles and singing and being a musician, while also working with different ancestral lineages as well. But she'll go more into depth about this because I am by no means an expert on this field. I just started getting introduced to this plant medicine and ceremonies 3 years ago, so I'm learning. Welcome, Ala.
Thank you. Well, in that regard, me too. Linear time is a funny thing, right? I similarly met some of these medicines only 3.5, almost 4 years ago now, and several only within the last 2 years, or even more recently. And I very much enjoy continuing to learn, and really diving deep with these studies, and have really anchored, if I had to narrow down what I'm learning, to the study of frequency and how to tap into the frequencies present around us so that we can harmonize with them rather than trying to resist them or control them in some sort of fashion.
I love that. I love that. And speaking about frequencies and sounds, so Dani, Ala's girlfriend, is here with us as well. She's monitoring the camera right now, and Ala asked me if she could come along because she wanted that energy present, right? And I said to her, of course, absolutely, because she's this beautiful human being. She's behind the scenes dancing a little bit too, and before we started the interview, she was cleansing the space for us with a feather. So we'll introduce her at the end of the podcast as well, so you guys can see her. They're a beautiful couple and an inspiration to me. With that said, thank you, Dani, for supporting us, one, and two, who is Ala, aside from all the titles and everything that you do? Who is Ala?
Wow, big question.
Huge question. Probably the hardest one. I still have trouble with that.
What's coming to heart first to answer is I read this article recently, scholarly article about, sort of this indigenous world and how they approach diet, and whether that be diet of any sort of a master plant or just their intake in general of all things, what they consume. And they spoke to this idea that being a person is innate, but to be a human being is something that we have to practice daily with our actions and our relating. And that really struck home for me as okay, that's what I'm here to do, and that I feel in our own way is what we're all here for, is to learn how to be in our human. What does our human need? So I am studying what my human needs, and in that finding that sometimes pieces of that journey come forward to be offered to other people as tools for their tool belt as well, things that I found useful or helpful that then I can share forward. And for me, it's all been very much tied to music my whole life. I started off with drums when I was 5, and then piano at 6 or 7. Really beautiful teachers, Dale with drums, Christine Wagner on piano in the Austin area at the time. And then blessed to have a beautiful music teacher in elementary school, Kay Greenhaw. And then in middle school, saxophone, Cindy Houston in particular, thank you very much. And then in high school, continued with saxophone and stepped into a marching band, joined a secondary marching band, Brian Burks, Don Haynes, Ponder East. Very, very, very grateful.
And so with this, I have 2 questions that are kind of surfacing right now. Well, one, working on what your human needs, right? And I'm also working on what my human needs and trying to understand myself on deeper levels of intimacy and deeper levels of love too, right? Because we can't, if I don't know what I need, how can I expect somebody else to fulfill those needs for me? So what is your human need right now? And then I'll ask a second question related to your musical trajectory.
My human's super happy. My human in this very exact moment wants for nothing. I feel very, very comfortable, very supported, very, very excited. I really love you a lot. Very grateful to be sitting here with you and to support your vision as you're supporting me. I feel that's how we all come together to rise. Yeah. And then in the longer term, my human still, I wouldn't say needs anything, but it's the practice of asking that question over and over again and being in my center and honoring both the moment to moment fire of what does my human need right now, and then the longer term, what is my human envisioning and what does my human need to support that longer vision, and how does that work? How do I balance those things?
I love that. And in supporting that vision, you speak a lot about frequency and studying the frequency of sound, right? And I truly believe that our frequency and our vibration supports the vision, right? And I have big dreams. I've always been a woman of huge, huge, wild dreams, but I'm also a doer. And sometimes I don't share that vision because there's a lot of naysayers, and I know where I'm headed. And so I just take inspired action every time I can to take me a step closer to that. But in that frequency and that vibration and sustaining that vision, I mean, you started with music and experimenting with music from a very young age, but there was challenges that came with that. It's not like you developed your voice right away. And we were speaking behind the scenes, like behind the camera, a little bit about those challenges. Do you want to share? Because I've had a similar experience.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I have always loved and surrounded myself and been very blessed to have, family supporting me, surrounding myself with music and musical in their own right. At a young age, I internalized this story around particularly my voice, that I couldn't and shouldn't sing was the story. It was that simple. Seed planted when I was 8 that grew its own forest like that, because I didn't know any better, and I wasn't paying attention in that way. And it's really only been 2 years since I've started singing and really tapping back into this space of music, and it came from some of the work that I'd done. I received this very strong, very clear sing. I don't have anything to sing. Everything I know is rock music, pop music, right? Rap music, country music, but none of it's appropriate for the occasion. And everything went quiet. I heard what? And then learn. Go learn. And as the work finished, I went to a dear brother, Chinu, he's a tattoo artist. What's up, bro? And I asked him for a song that he shared, a brother of his, Victor Cisneros. Passed it to him from California, and it's that Mariposa song that I share, this chant. It's beautiful medicine. But I learned that song 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago, and I every day since have made it a practice to sing and to practice what it feels like to enjoy the resonance of my human, of my physical chamber. We're all resonance instruments. In whatever way we choose to use that resonance is the question. And for me, I found so much ease in the practice of singing. Not immediately, of course, but an invitation to ease in the body, and especially in singing with other people. It enables your body to tune to the frequency of another human being, and in a very somatic way, like relaxes the system, drops you into the heart, engenders connection, engenders trust in self, in other, confidence in the things that you're saying, clarity on what is yours and what somebody else's, because you're developing that listening. And it's a very deep practice of listening. I've been very blessed. Giselle World in particular has really opened her heart and shared quite a lot of music with me, and a lot of guidance on this path of music as a healing tool. And the human beings I've met along my path as well, Brother Ryan Sansing, amazing musician, Tasha May, like Noel Kalajian, Jessica Sirena. Like, I have so many beautiful singers in my sphere to learn with. Daniela Rincon, and to share with. Marcelo Rosauro, very talented guitar player. So it's this practice of continuing to listen, and I found that a lot easier to drop into a sense of safety and connection with other than sometimes just trying to approach another human being. For me, sometimes that felt heavy or mired in the old stories of how I'd been welcomed or not in a particular space. And for me, like, the more I sing, particularly with other human beings, the safer I feel in myself, and the more I'm generating genuine connections, and opportunities come to me based on those, and they're based in trust and love and joy, and why not,
Exactly.
Why not?
I love that, and I thank you for sharing that, Ala, because I think that seed of not knowing how to sing has been planted on many of us, and the truth is, the more I discover my voice and the more I explore with it and experiment with it, the more I realize we all do know how to sing. We just have to practice and be diligent with, taking the time out of our day to just establish this routine if we want to get deeper into knowing our voice and our frequency and our vibration. And as a journalist, I recognized today, before I quit the news industry, I recognized today, after I quit the news industry, that I was communicating from a place and from a frequency that is the utmost lowest vibration you could possibly communicate at, period. Like, it doesn't get any lower than that. And I'm a Leo, as are you, so I'm very good at experimenting with polarities, right? And really moving through different worlds and different spectrums, because I truly want to experience the process. And I'm also a kinesthetic learner, so I want to experience everything and truly filter it through my body and all of my bodies, so that I can have a deeper understanding of what truth means to me, right? And how I can bring more truth forward by my lived experiences and by the stories that I share with you guys. And experimenting with that, for example, in the news industry, and being a former White House correspondent, and being surrounded by presidents from Latin America, from Iván Duque, former president of Colombia, to Donald Trump, Barack Obama. I was in rooms with Jeff Bezos as well, covering press conferences, and truly understanding, since I quit news in 2020, that there's different ways of communicating, and that there's a different vibration and a different frequency that you can choose. And for me, that's joy, and that's love, and that's gratitude, and it's communicating in unity as well. So this is kind of how the Awakened Journalist has been evolving and transforming. And I also created Joyful Media, LLC, which is what we're doing here now, bringing more joy through the world, to the world, with our lived experiences. With that said, that kind of gives you context of where I was and where I am now, and the place from which I'm communicating. And I want to go deeper into your teachers, particularly Giselle World, because for whoever's listening that maybe doesn't know her, she's a very very, very beautiful human being and a spiritual leader in Miami's community, and also a world-renowned artist. And Ala has had the honor and privilege of working with her. And not just that, but when you were going through a very difficult life situation and challenge, she took you under her wings and gave you shelter and a place to live.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I a year and a half ago found myself, like many of us on this spiritual awakening path, or whatever version of an awakening you may experience. Many of us over the last few years have had a lot of things ripped away. A lot of things ripped away. A lot of things ripped away, and for a steady while.
For a good 3 years.
And I essentially, but I know now that I prayed and vibrated myself out of a relationship, my housing, my job, my community, back in Austin, Texas, where I was living. And I found myself homeless in the winter, living in a tent with my 100-pound dog Zuko, and so not mentally well and not physically well, and feeling really at a loss, and doing my best, but doing far from what I would, maybe be proud of. Like, I was really hard on myself in that space, and I'd been working with Giselle for about 6 months at that point. We'd known each other for maybe 8 months. We met in some beautiful circles in Mexico, and she called me up and said, "Hey sis, how you doing? How was your trips? How's this and that? Like, you ready to sing again?" Because we'd had weekly meetings where she shared with me music and taught me these songs, these deep chants. And I filled her in and probably sobbing my eyes out, to be honest. And she held space and was very sympathetic and very supportive. And then 2 days later, she called me back and said, "Pack your stuff, bring your dog, we'll figure it out, come live with me." And I've been living with her off and on, and helping her with her land and her house and her work for the last year and a half. And I'm very grateful, very, very grateful. I love you, G. And I've learned so much from her, through her, met so many beautiful people on her land, and through circles that have either been run by her or by people that have come her way. And really honor her as a lighthouse for this community. She's taught me a lot about what it means to be a lighthouse, and to worry only about the ships that need your harbor, and to allow those that want to go to another lighthouse to sail free and strong to that other light, so that we can all, climb the mountain together. We all can walk each other home like that. So
I love that. Yeah, and if you guys haven't heard her or seen her or experienced her ceremonies or her concerts, definitely look her up on Spotify. She has beautiful, beautiful medicine music, Giselle World. And we are going to work on getting Ala's music on Spotify as well soon.
coming very soon.
Coming very soon. Ala, how did the name come about, right? Because Ala isn't your real name.
No, it's not my given name. It's very much a nickname. So it's.
And yeah, thank you for that correction. Your given name.
Yeah, no worries. My given name is Madeline Claire, and I walk in all genders, right? The more time folks spend with me, it becomes very apparent that, like, I am a womb carrier, very blessed, very grateful to be a woman in that way. But I also walk with a deep masculine energy that comes forward in a very playful and strong way to be a part of my spectrum as a human. And growing up, I went by Maddie. Madeline always felt too princessy for me, like that, with my gender the way that it is. And I went by Maddie, and then as I began spiritual walk, Mad, die, to present to the fire, felt very odd, knowing what I know about words and frequency, and being that is my study. So I was in the sacred village visiting Yawa in Acre, Brazil, and I shared that I was looking for, my new name with the family I had there, the friends. And one sister came to me at some point and said, "I don't know your new name, but it has something to do with feathers."
And she is an angel walking on earth. Like, if you have had the privilege to meet Ala, she's an angel walking on earth. So
And likewise, my friend.
Continue.
Likewise.
Sorry for interrupting you. Continue.
She said it has something to do with feathers. And about 30 seconds later, this name came in, Ala, which means wing in Spanish. And I was surely not, no. Sat with it for like 5 hours. No, really? Are you sure? Back and forth. I'm just nuts, kind of thing. And no, this is for you. When I went back to the fire, and it was quiet, it was down to the coals, there was no wind. I was overlooking the river there. And I said, Tatewari, the sacred fire. This is my name. And the wind kicked up a bunch of ash and blew it up over my head. So I got blessed like that by the fire. And then almost a year later, a couple humans that I met through the Yawanawa as well, Mikey and Priya. Mike is Czech, and he let me know that Ala is short for Alena, which is short for Magdalena, which is who I was named after. I was named after my mom's grandmother, Elsie Magdalena. So in a very interesting way, I've come full circle from Madeline to Ala and back again.
And I love that because when we first spoke about this, I told you I have a very, very deep connection to Maria Magdalena. And I'm currently almost finishing a book called Ana, La Voz de las Magdalenas, which is Ana is Jesus' grandmother. And I don't believe in the church as an institution. I do believe in Ana and Jesus as ascended masters, and not the way that we were taught to learn about them by the Catholic Church, more through what I've been experiencing with them as teachers and ascended masters, and I have a very deep connection to them, and I pray to them, and I see Maria Magdalena as this sacred, fierce warrior that has supported me a lot in speaking truth, especially in very dangerous situations. And this goes back to what you were saying about checking in with your human and what your human needs, right? And then guiding myself from speaking truth in very dangerous situations, especially when I was in the news industry, to understanding, okay, yes, I'm a Leo, and yes, I have this courage and this bravery, and I can use it differently, and I can use it in ways that cater to my human and that protect and prioritize my safety at all levels and all dimensions. And that's been a learning process, because I did put my life at risk in many occasions for wanting to be courageous and wanting to speak truth. And I've been learning on this path that there's different ways to do it. And yes, I can speak truth while also honoring my human, my needs, and my safety, and prioritizing that. With that said, Ala de Alas, do you want to add anything else that I haven't asked you that maybe we haven't touched on?
What's coming up, if anything, is this practice of honoring what our human needs. My sister Katie Nauraki, amazing yoga teacher, beautiful jewelry designer, Coyote designs there. She shared with me this graphic that she was working on that spoke to this idea that we store trauma in the body when we move from spirit body, mental body, heart body, physical body. And it spoke to this idea for me that all truths are available in spirit. Anything is possible. Okay, if anything is possible, I grab one and I process it with my mind. Okay, what do I think about this? Then how do I feel about this? And then I store it in my body. Yeah. But when we move body up, like gut body, heart body, mental body, spiritual body, we have the ability to say, for this human, this piece of the all, this being having an experience of itself in this universe, it's true for this experience. And then how does my heart feel about that? My heart rate's elevated. Okay, I'm either excited or anxious. My brain decides. And then I go to spirit. Okay, what possibilities does this create? What messages do you have for me? Okay, then how does my body feel? And working with an energy flow up like that has been really supportive to me. So I would love to just add that in for those that feel called to using that tool and exploring that energy flow.
I love that. I'm going to take that with me. Thank you. And
You're
thank
so
you,
welcome.
Katie. We love Katie. And I'll be interviewing her soon as well. She's a beautiful human. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for speaking your truth and sharing your stories with us. And we are obviously not going to leave you guys without the experience of the medicine music of this magical human. So I asked her to sing. Ala knows I have two of her songs are my favorite. One of them is actually Resilience, which you guys are seeing in the opening and closing of the podcast and my shows. From now on, it was a song that I chose that resonates with me today and the human that I am today, that I want to share with the world, and that I also want to support my dear friend in expanding her gifts and sharing it with the world, because her music has touched me deeply. It's a song that I've cried my eyes to on multiple occasions. And actually, before we even play the second favorite song, which is Mariposa, which is what she's going to play today, do you want to go into the story of how this song came to you, Resilience?
I mean, resilience came because I needed it. I needed that prayer. You know, I touched briefly on the experience of having everything ripped away, and that experience of everything going out the door culminated in a international ceremony where I felt deeply unsafe. I was by myself with nowhere to go, truthfully, and no support from the people I had come with in the ways that I expected. Or would have hoped for, I think, more than expected, because I didn't have expectations that they would, but just, wow, okay, this is how we're moving in this moment. And I really struggled to integrate all of that, but it became this experience of like, okay, I've been working this energy of the fire, of the sun, like, and that is dropping me like a hot coal, you know, and wow, to honor that, let me shift and focus on the moon, the water. And I feel that began my prayer with moving to Miami toward the ocean, and also as a moon dancer. I knew then I was going to moon dance, and have now completed two first year dances. I have 3 more years each to go. But it started that journey, and then as I began to receive this song, it was months before I could get through it on my own, and then another few months before I could get through it to sing for anybody else, because it was such deep medicine for me. I needed it. So this song in that way tells the story of that experience and the people who were angels for me on that journey, and it began my journey working with Noel Canadian and her music. She's out in Boulder. Please go support her. Ala Hayhurst on Instagram, and also with the Huni Queen. Like, I really got to drop in with the Huni Queen there and learn about their jewelry and their music in particular. We sat and played a lot of music together that week. So yeah, very blessed to receive that music.
I love that. And it's a beautiful song. You guys are going to hear it, and the more you hear it, the deeper you go into the lyrics and the prayer, and the more magic that it's going to do for your soul and your body and just your human. You touched on the danza de la luna, the moon dance. Just before we finish the interview, I want to touch on the moon dance, because I also danced to the moon with you. And it was a beautiful experience. We danced with your mom as well. I want to give a big hug to Mama Bear. We love you so much. She was such like a strength and like space holder for me to be, and for me to like just get really vulnerable, because I was going through the process of quitting the news industry once again, trying to get myself out of a deep hole that I dug myself into, and dancing my pain away, you know, and all these patterns that didn't serve me any longer. And I want to share, you know, a little bit about your experience and what the moon dance means to you.
The moon dance has unlocked some major miracles for me in a very tangible way. You know, I found myself homeless because my family's beliefs and mine got to a point where like they weren't able to take me in, and with so much love, it was just a very different stance, and everybody needed to feel safe, you know. And so I went to the moon dance in Mexico in October, praying for my family. I'm here for my family. I'm here to dance for my family. I'm here to work for my family. I'm here to serve my family. I'm here to learn about family. I'm here for my 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 family. And my prayer was that simple and that deep. You know, like you spoke of the song, the more you work with it, the deeper it goes. And there was a lot of depth to that prayer, and it's still unfolding all the time. I left that prayer and I felt reborn in a way I cannot describe. I began to reprogram myself to the number 13, to my lunar cycles as a womb carrier, to just a different structure within this time-space reality, and I found it to be very supportive and very expansive quickly. And I shared with my family. My mom in particular felt a resonance and wanted to come, and like had a process around like, oh, this will be my first anything of any kind, and it's a deep work. I mean, it's 5 days, 4 nights, fasting, no sleep, a lot of people, a lot of energy. And she's a champ, you know. But that miracle of like, wow, in a year's time, like from this fear place to this place of love and curiosity and openness, and I very much tie that to the moon dance and the work that I did there. And I love the moon. I love getting to know the moon, getting to know my moon, like getting to know other womb carriers. It's amazing. It's been amazing.
I love that. And I'm smiling because when Ala told me for the first time that her mom was coming, I teared up. I tear up a lot when Ala tells me things. I teared up when she told me she had a girlfriend too. I was like,
we were both crying.
Happy for you. We were both crying on the phone. And so I teared up and I told her, wow, that'll be the day when I get my mom to do the moon dance with me as well. We're praying on it. We'll
Just
see.
keep praying.
Keep praying. I don't know if she'll come, but we're praying on it. Ala, with that, well, actually, let's finish on a very joyful note, right?
Oh.
Which was our experience in the moon dance and me passing out. I literally just, my prayer and my intention was, one of the big ones was, I am the news industry. And I literally said, whatever needs to crumble and fall within me, just allow it to. And with ease, love, and grace, and gratitude, and joy. And I just said the statement, I am the news industry. And I knew very well what I was saying with those words and what I was declaring, but it was something my soul was deeply yearning for. And obviously I couldn't do it alone, so I needed the support of like 90 other women dancing to the moon for 4 days straight to be able to go through that deep inner healing and that deep inner process within myself. And what ended up happening was the 4th day, I literally told Ala and her mom, they were dancing behind me, and I was like, Ala, I'm seeing blurry. I can't see. I can't see. And then I just went on to literally almost pass out. And you guys helped me through it and picked me up and had to lay me down. And I just
tucked you in.
Passed out.
Nighty-night, Emmy. See you in the morning.
Literally, that's what happened. So I said, be very careful what you wish for, because I said, let it fall and just let it die. And I literally feel like that was a death of old parts of Emiliana, old parts of, how I used to work and the experiences that I had within the news industry, and really being reborn to birthing a brand new news industry within myself so that I can then share that with the world. And that's what we're doing here with Joyful Media.
Yeah. It keeps coming back to this concept of your frequency, mm-hmm. how you express it. And for you, that's very much journalism and sharing people's stories, from the heart, from a place of joy. And for me, it's music and singing. I just want to sing with everybody. Like that's my big mission.
But I can't sing fully to the best of my abilities yet. So yet, but we're working on it. So eventually, I'm shifting towards Ala to start singing even more.
But yeah, it's calling is forward, very strong for all of us to utilize our frequency. Yeah. What is that frequency? From the heart.
Exactly. And that frequency for me is love, joy, and gratitude. And, I feel like we resonate a lot in that. So
always.
All right. Well, with that said, you guys, I am going to leave you with this beautiful human and her music. And before we do that, I just want to invite Dani to come here as well and say hello. So you guys can meet her, and she's been holding space for us to do this interview. And I'm just so thankful that you're you're in Ala's life and in my life, and we love you and thank you for supporting us through this.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing, for your prayers, for showing up every day in your lives and in the lives of your community and your friends, us. Like, beautiful work, you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel it deeply.
Yes.
All right.
Music.
Mariposita, gran maestra de transmutación. Mariposita, gran maestra de transmutación. A tu lado recordamos alegría y puro amor. A tu lado recordamos alegría y puro amor. Mariposita, mensajera del aire sagrado. Mariposita, mensajera del aire sagrado. A tu lado recordamos pensamientos son ligeros. A tu lado recordamos pensamientos son ligeros. Mariposita, el misterio de abuela lunita. Mariposita, el misterio de abuela lunita. A tu lado recordamos todo refleja el interior. A tu lado recordamos todo refleja el interior. Maripositas recién llegadas de casas cristales. Maripositas recién llegadas de casas cristales. A tu lado recordamos cada muerte un nuevo renacer. A tu lado recordamos cada muerte un nuevo renacer. Mariposita, gran maestra de transmutación. Mariposita, gran maestra de transmutación. Nos guiamos, nos ayudamos a abrir nuestros corazoncitos. Nos ayudamos a encontrarnos más en el centro de amor.